Hey guys, I'm Joe from American Trucks, and today I'm going to be reviewing and installing the Spectre Performance cold air intake with the polished intake tube, fitting all 09 to 15 5.7 Hemi powered Ram 1500s. Now the idea with all cold air intakes is to not only draw in more, but colder and therefore denser air, giving your engine more O2 to burn, and the Spectre Performance cold air intake definitely achieves that. That polished intake tube not only looks great under the hood, but also increases the function as well, as the inner wall is going to be smooth, which is going to promote clean airflow, not creating any turbulence in the air before it gets to your throttle body, creating power. Also up front, you have a low restriction red intake filter that's going to trap any harmful particles before they can make it to your throttle body. Now another great thing about this intake is it doesn't require a tune to run it, so you can run on the factory ECU and tune. You're still gonna feel some throttle response, hear some induction noise, and make horsepower and torque. Price is going to be on the cheaper side as well at around 150 bucks. This is gonna be the low end in terms of price. Usually cold air intakes like this one hover between 200 and 500 bucks, so definitely on the cost effective side. Before we move on to the install, I just wanted to make a really quick note that this system is not CARB legal. So if you live in any of the more restrictive emission states, you are not going to pass inspection with this thing, and it's best to take a look at some of Spectre's other options. So with that being said, install isn't going to be too bad either. We're looking at a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Should take you an hour to get it on your truck. So without any further ado, let me show you how it's done. For this install, you will need an impact, ratchet, Phillips head screwdriver, extension, and 8mm socket. So first things first, we gotta get our factory intake out of the way. Now that is gonna be really simple. It's only a couple steps. First, we're going to unclip the air temperature sensor, take off this crankcase vent hose, and undo the clamp around the throttle body, and the whole thing pulls out as one big unit. Now in order to prep for our new crankcase vent hose, we have to get the old one out of the way. We're gonna remove this engine cover, and that just pulls right off. So with our factory intake still close at hand, we do have to do a little prep work on it. We are gonna remove the top portion of the box and reuse and reinstall the bottom with our Spectre intake. And the factory air box comes apart by undoing these 4 metal clips here. And we can also ditch this factory paper filter. So now we can start working on our new Spectre, and the first step there is to install this weather stripping along the top edge of the box. And if you do have any extra, we had about 1/4 inch, you can snip that away using a pair of wire cutters. Next, you can grab your cone filter and this plastic coupler here. We're going to install that to our new airbox and secure it using this flex coupler and clamp included in the kit. And we can tighten that clamp using an 8mm socket. And next, you could drop that whole section we were just working on top of the bottom portion of our old airbox. Next, we can prepare our new intake tube with the coupler that says Spectre and another clamp. We're just gonna tighten that down right now. Next, we can install our grommet for our air temperature sensor in the intake tube. And the next step is to transfer over our air temperature sensor to our new Spectre intake tube. So with our Spectre fully built, I just wanted to take a second to lay it out on the table next to our old factory intake. As you can see, we ditched this restrictive factory flex tube. This is going to create turbulence before the air can even get to the throttle body, which hinders power. We lose this closed box design and this old school paper filter for a smooth flow intake tube, an open box design, and in there is seated our red Spectre Performance high flow filter, all of which is going to promote horsepower. Also, next to the old school factory intake, you could tell just how much of an improvement the Spectre is in the looks department, and it looks awesome. So with our air temperature sensor in place and the kit pretty much built, you could grab our new breather hose and one of the 1-inch clamps included in the kit. Let's head over to the engine bay and we'll mount that up. In order to allow us access to mount our new breather hose, we have to remove this foam piece, and then our breather hose will sit right on the fitting that we'll be revealing, and we can secure that with a Phillips head screwdriver. Now we can reinstall our engine cover. Now we can drop back in our new Spectre airbox, making sure it's seated in the factory position. Then we can install our new intake tube to the throttle body and the coupler near the airbox as well. And then again, we can tighten those clamps using an 8mm socket. While we're here, I'm just going to install our crankcase vent tube to our intake pipe using the final 1-inch clamp in the kit. Then we can move on to our throttle body. And lastly, we can plug back in our temperature sensor. And that is going to do it for my review and install of the Spectre Performance cold air intake polished, fitting all 09 215 5.7 Hemi powered Ram 1500s. Keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.